All right, today we're going to talk about a truly legendary book in the world of web design. Steve Krug's Don't Make Me Think. We're going to distill its core wisdom and figure out what separates a great website from one that just, well, gives you a headache. I mean, you know that feeling, right? You're just trying to find something simple, maybe a support number or a tiny product detail, and you find yourself just clicking around, completely lost, feeling that frustration bubble up. It's something we've all experienced.
And you know what's wild? That frustration, it almost always boils down to one single fundamental failure in design. But here's the good news. There's an equally simple rule that can fix it all.
Okay, so this brings us to the absolute bedrock of the entire book. It's what Steve Krug calls his first law of usability. And there it is. Don't make me think. Just 3 words, but they change absolutely everything. Think about it. Every single choice a designer makes should serve this one idea. A user should never have to stop, puzzle over what to do next, or wonder what a button means. Everything should just be obvious. The real enemy here is something called cognitive load. And the best way to think about it is like a mental tax. Every time you see a cleverly named menu, or an ambiguous button, or a confusing layout, that's a tax on your brain power. It's all the mental energy you waste figuring out the website instead of just using it. And our goal? To get that tax down to 0.
So what's the goal then? It's simple, really. Every single page needs to be self-evident. And I don't mean easy to figure out after a minute. I mean instantly. A user should be able to just glance at it and immediately get it. They should know, okay, this is where I am, this is what I can do here, and that's where I need to go next. No detective work necessary.
Okay, so why is this one rule so incredibly important? Well, it's because we have to design for how people actually use the web, not how we wish they would. And this all comes down to really understanding how we behave when we're online. You see, there's this huge disconnect. Designers and developers, they pour their hearts and souls into crafting every single word, every pixel, thinking the user is going to sit there and admire it all. But the reality? Users are on a mission. They aren't there to read. They're there to hunt. This all boils down to 3 fundamental truths. First, we don't read, we scan. Seriously. Our eyes just dart across the page looking for a keyword that catches our attention. Second, we don't find the best option, we satisfice. It's this great word, a mix of satisfy and suffice. Our brain just takes the first reasonable option it finds. And finally, number 3, we don't learn, we muddle through. Nobody reads the manual, right? We just start clicking around and see what happens. So, okay, we know people are just scanning. They're in a hurry, they're muddling through. What's the single most powerful thing you can do with your content, knowing all that? The answer is actually brutally simple. I love this. This is Krug's 3rd law, and it is a total game changer. Now, I know it sounds extreme, right? Get rid of half, then get rid of half of that. But it's so incredibly practical. Because let's be honest, most of the writing on websites is just fluff, filler that people are already ignoring. When you cut it, the important stuff finally has a chance to stand out. And here's a perfect example. Krug calls this stuff happy talk. All the welcome to our website filler. Just think about it from the user's point of view. They didn't land on your support page to be welcomed. They're probably already frustrated and they just want an answer. The before version makes them wade through useless words. The after version, bam, gets them right to their goal. It's clear, scannable, and it respects their time. So you see, being ruthless with your words isn't about being lazy. It's about being effective. Every single word you delete lowers the noise level. It lets the really useful stuff pop. And it makes the whole page feel less like homework and more like a helpful tool. And this whole idea of designing for scanners, it's not just about the words on the page. It's about the entire visual design, too. Okay, this is probably my favorite analogy in the whole book. He says to think of your users like they're driving down a highway at 70 miles an hour. Your web page is a billboard they're speeding past. You've got, maybe 3 seconds to get your message across? So you have to design a great billboard. So how do you actually do that? Well, you start with a clear visual hierarchy. The most important thing should look like the most important thing. Then use conventions. Everyone knows what a shopping cart icon means, so just use it. Break up your pages into obvious, defined areas. And this is a big one. Make it crystal clear what's clickable. Nobody should ever have to wonder, is this a link or not? When you boil it all down, all of these rules and principles, they really come down to one simple, really human idea.
Good usability isn't just some technical skill. It's about common courtesy.
Krug has this brilliant metaphor for this. He calls it the reservoir of goodwill. Picture this. Every person who comes to your site shows up with a limited amount of patience. And every little frustration, every time they get confused or have to think too hard, you're draining a little bit of that goodwill. And once that reservoir is empty, they're gone. And it's really easy to see what drains that reservoir versus what fills it up. Hiding the contact info, that drains it. Asking for personal information you don't really need drains it fast. But on the other side, making key things obvious, being upfront with information, saving people a few clicks, that's how you fill the reservoir back up. That's how you earn trust.
So really, it all comes down to this idea. A great website acts like a mensch. It's a Yiddish word for someone with integrity, with honor. It's a site that feels like it anticipates what you need, that respects your time, and that does the right thing by you. It's just good manners.
So I'll leave you with this vile thought. The next time you're on a website, any website, just pay attention. Can you tell if it's treating you with courtesy? Can you feel your own reservoir of goodwill draining when a site makes you think too hard? Because I promise you, once you start noticing this stuff, you'll never be able to unsee it.